There's a reason some people seem unfazed by the noise around them. They don't get caught up in distractions. They don't let negativity derail them. And they stay locked in on what truly matters. It's not that they don't face obstacles or criticism. They've just mastered the ability to focus on what moves them forward. And the foundation of that ability, clarity of purpose. When you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, the world's distractions begin to lose their grip on you. Think about it. How often do we let other people's opinions, daily frustrations, or unexpected setbacks throw us off course? It happens when our purpose isn't strong enough to anchor us. Without a clear why, we become reactive instead of intentional. But the moment you define what truly matters to you, everything changes. Imagine a ship sailing through rough waters. If the captain knows the destination, they adjust the sails, navigate through storms, and stay the course. But if the destination is unclear, every wave feels like a reason to turn back. The same applies to focus. If you don't have a strong reason driving you, then every distraction becomes an excuse to stop. But when your purpose is solid, the noise around you becomes just that noise. It doesn't dictate your direction. We often think of focus as simply avoiding distractions, but it's more than that. Focus is a byproduct of clarity. When you wake up each day knowing exactly what you're working toward, you don't waste energy on things that don't contribute to your vision. The opinions of others, they become background noise. Temporary setbacks, just lessons, not roadblocks. Even self-doubt takes a backseat because your why is more powerful than any single challenge. The people who stay unbothered aren't indifferent. They're just deeply connected to something bigger than fleeting worries. They don't engage in every argument. They don't react to every negative comment. And they don't let minor inconveniences throw them off track. They operate with a different mindset, one that filters out anything that doesn't serve their purpose. So, the real question is, how clear is your purpose? If distractions constantly pull you in different directions, it's worth taking a step back and asking yourself, what am I really working toward? What is so important to me that I won't let anything shake my focus? That clarity becomes your shield. It helps you distinguish between what deserves your attention and what's just noise. We live in a world that constantly competes for our focus: social media, news, opinions, expectations. But the most successful and fulfilled people are those who don't let external forces dictate their internal direction. They move with intention. They build lives centered around their values. And because of that, they stay focused not just for a day or a week, but for a lifetime. Your ability to stay unbothered isn't about shutting the world out. It's about being so clear on what matters to you that nothing else has the power to shake you. When you define your purpose, distractions lose their influence. And when distractions lose their influence, you gain the freedom to build something extraordinary. Some people move through life with an unshakable sense of peace. They don't get caught up in drama. They don't waste energy on things outside their control. And they don't let negativity dictate their emotions. It's not because they're lucky, and it's not because life is easier for them. It's because they've mastered the art of detachment. Detachment is not indifference. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you have the wisdom to choose what is worth your energy and what is not. Most people live in reaction mode. Someone says something negative and they feel the need to respond. A small inconvenience happens and their entire day is ruined. They get rejected and they start doubting themselves. Every little thing pulls them in a different direction because they've tied their peace to external circumstances. But those who stay unbothered understand something powerful. Not everything deserves a response. Not every situation needs emotional investment. Not every battle is worth fighting. Imagine you're holding a cup of water. If you keep your grip loose, it stays steady. But if you hold on too tightly, the water starts spilling everywhere. This is how most people approach life. They cling too tightly to things they should be letting go of. They take every opinion personally. They try to control things that aren't theirs to control. They exhaust themselves worrying about things that in the long run don't even matter. But when you learn to let go, you reclaim your peace. You stop being pulled into unnecessary stress, and you free up your energy for the things that actually move you forward. The truth is, most of what bothers us is temporary. Think about the last time you were upset about something. A rude comment, a delayed plan, an unexpected challenge. At the moment, it felt big. But a week later, a month later, it was nothing. The problem isn't the situation, it's how much importance we give it. The most unbothered people have trained themselves to zoom out. They ask themselves, will this matter in a year? In 5 years? If the answer is no, they refuse to give it power over their emotions. But detachment isn't just about ignoring negativity. It's also about emotional discipline. It's about recognizing that your peace is your responsibility. If you constantly let people and situations dictate how you feel, you're giving away control of your own life. The most focused people don't allow their emotions to be at the mercy of circumstances. They choose their responses carefully. They operate from a place of intention rather than reaction. This kind of mindset doesn't just keep you unbothered, it makes you powerful. Because when you stop wasting energy on what doesn't serve you, you gain more energy for what does. You're able to stay focused on your goals, deepen your relationships, and make decisions with clarity. You become the kind of person who moves through life with purpose, instead of being pushed around by every little thing that happens. Mastering detachment is one of the greatest skills you can develop. It allows you to be fully present without being controlled by external forces. It gives you the freedom to focus on what truly matters. And most importantly, it reminds you that your peace is not something to be negotiated, it's something to be protected. Most people spend their lives stressed about things they can't control. They worry about how others perceive them. They obsess over outcomes they have no power over. And they let uncontrollable situations drain their energy. And yet, the people who stay truly focused, who remain calm in the face of challenges, have one thing in common: they understand the difference between what they can control and what they can't. More importantly, they know how to let go of the things that don't belong to them. It's easy to get caught up in the illusion that we can control everything. We try to control how people feel about us. We try to control how situations unfold. We try to control every possible outcome, thinking that if we just plan well enough, nothing will go wrong. But the truth is, control is an illusion. No matter how much we try, we will never have complete control over people, circumstances, or even the future. And the more we try to force control over the uncontrollable, the more frustrated and exhausted we become. The people who remain unbothered and focused don't waste time on things outside their influence. They recognize that there will always be things they can't change: other people's opinions, unexpected challenges, past mistakes. Instead of resisting these realities, they accept them. They shift their energy toward what they can control: their actions, their mindset, and their response to whatever happens. Imagine carrying 2 bags, one filled with things you can control and one filled with things you can't. The first bag is light, your effort, your discipline, your decisions. The second bag is heavy, other people's thoughts, the past, circumstances beyond your reach. Now imagine trying to move forward while carrying both. The second bag slows you down, drains your energy, and makes even the simplest steps feel exhausting. The fastest way to regain focus and clarity: drop the second bag. Let go of what you can't control. Free yourself from the unnecessary weight that is keeping you stuck. But letting go doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending that challenges don't exist. It means acknowledging what is out of your hands and redirecting your energy toward what is. If you're facing a difficult situation, instead of obsessing over the problem, focus on the next action you can take. If someone is criticizing you unfairly, instead of trying to change their opinion, focus on doing your best work. If something doesn't go as planned, instead of dwelling on disappointment, focus on adapting and moving forward. Most of the stress and frustration people feel isn't caused by their circumstances. It's caused by their resistance to reality. The moment you accept that you can't control everything is the moment you gain real power. Because when you stop trying to change what's unchangeable, you free up space to focus on what actually makes a difference. The most focused and unbothered people understand this. They don't waste energy on things they can't influence. They don't get stuck in the trap of overthinking, worrying, or wishing things were different. Instead, they take ownership of what they can do. And by doing that, they move forward faster with more clarity, more confidence, and more control over the only thing that truly matters: themselves. Most people assume that staying focused is about sheer willpower, about forcing yourself to ignore distractions and push through resistance. But the truth is, willpower alone is not enough. It fades. It runs out. The people who stay consistently focused don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. They don't wake up every morning debating whether or not to work hard. They've built habits and structures that make focus automatic. Think about someone training for a marathon. They don't wake up each day deciding whether or not they feel like running. They have a schedule. They know exactly when and how much they'll train, and because of that structure, They don't waste energy in decision making. They simply follow the system. This is the key to staying focused, creating habits and routines that remove the need for constant willpower. Distraction is always easier than discipline. It takes less effort to check your phone than to work on your goals. It's more comfortable to procrastinate than to take action. But when you build a system, you remove the option of distraction. You don't leave your focus up to chance. You design your environment, your schedule, and your habits in a way that makes staying on track the default. Consider two people trying to improve their health. One wakes up every morning and decides whether or not to go to the gym based on how they feel. Some days they go, some days they don't. The other person has already scheduled their workouts, packed their gym bag the night before, and set an alarm to remind them. Which one is more likely to succeed? The second person, not because they have more motivation, but because they've removed the need for motivation. Their system carries them forward. The same applies to any area of life. If you want to write a book, don't rely on inspiration. Set a time each day to write, even when you don't feel like it. If you want to be more productive, don't just try to focus harder, eliminate distractions, create a structured workflow, and set clear priorities. Systems create consistency. And consistency is what leads to real results. The biggest mistake people make is assuming that successful individuals have more discipline. In reality, they have better structures. They don't fight the same battles over and over again because they've designed their lives in a way that makes focus easy. They automate the small decisions so they can put their energy into what truly matters. They don't leave things up to chance. If you find yourself constantly struggling to stay on track, ask yourself, do I have a system in place, or am I just relying on motivation? Because motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. But a well-built system keeps you moving forward, even on the days when you don't feel like it. The most unbothered and focused people in the world aren't constantly forcing themselves to work hard. They've simply set up their lives in a way that makes success inevitable. They've built habits that keep them aligned. They've eliminated unnecessary decisions. They've structured their time and environment so that focus isn't something they have to fight for, it's something that happens naturally. The people you surround yourself with shape the way you think, the way you act, and ultimately the direction of your life. Energy is contagious. Spend enough time around people who complain, procrastinate, and make excuses, and you'll find yourself doing the same. But spend time around those who are disciplined, driven, and intentional, and their mindset will start to influence yours. If you want to stay focused and unbothered, you need to be intentional about the energy you allow into your life. Most people don't realize how much their environment affects them. They assume their thoughts and actions are purely self-driven, but in reality, they're constantly being shaped by what they consume, the conversations they engage in, the media they watch, the habits of those around them. If you're surrounded by negativity, it's nearly impossible to maintain a positive mindset. If you're constantly exposed to distraction, staying focused becomes a daily battle. But if you deliberately curate your environment, choosing the right people, the right influences, and the right habits, your focus becomes effortless. Think of it like a garden. If you plant the right seeds, nurture the soil, and remove the weeds, growth happens naturally. But if you let toxic plants take over, they will drain the nutrients and choke the life out of everything else. Your mind works the same way. The influences you allow will either fuel your focus or drain it. Every conversation, every piece of information, every habit is either helping you move forward or pulling you further from your goals. One of the biggest challenges in staying unbothered is learning to distance yourself from energy that doesn't align with where you want to go. That might mean limiting time with people who constantly complain or bring unnecessary drama into your life. It might mean cutting back on social media that fills your mind with distractions and comparisons. It might mean creating space for silence, for deep thinking, for moments of clarity instead of filling every second with noise. It's not about shutting people out or living in isolation. It's about protecting your mental space so that your focus stays strong. The most focused people in the world aren't easily swayed by negativity because they've built a foundation of intentional energy. They surround themselves with people who challenge them, who inspire them, who remind them of what's possible. They feed their minds with knowledge that sharpens their thinking instead of dulling it. They filter out distractions not by force, but by designing their environment in a way that naturally supports their goals. If you want to stay unbothered, start paying attention to what influences you. Who do you spend the most time with? What kind of conversations do you engage in? What information do you consume daily? because all of these things are shaping your mindset, whether you realize it or not. And your mindset determines your focus. You can't always control the world around you, but you can control what you allow into your space. Choose wisely. Protect your energy. Surround yourself with people and ideas that push you to grow. Because when your environment is aligned with your purpose, staying focused doesn't feel like a struggle, it becomes second nature.